Hi, welcome to the video How the XYZ Characterise Leaders. And in this video I want to explain you in detail how can you describe leadership in your research country. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this video podcast on the section How the XYZ Characterise Leaders. We've had some tryouts, you did the midterm exam, but now we are really going to go for a grade, for a group activity, and the upcoming deadline is called the first draft. There's some deliverables in the first draft, and in this video I want to tell you how you can produce the section How the XYZ Characterise Leaders. Now, you already wrote the introduction, and that serves as a beautiful appetizer of your country profile, your CP, but now the next section is really something where you need to provide content. And what the main goal is that you in this section describe what is a leader and what is perceived as leadership in your research country. Sourcing smart. What we want for this section is that you work with local writers, people with a typical family name from that country. We want you to use deep academic journal papers, so real ResearchGate, Google Scholar, the HVA databases, research papers, no superficial sources. And you see the Google Books logo there. Google Books contains millions of books, but they also contain millions of books in the language of the country you're researching. So we would really love it if you also try to search not just in English. Now, we know how much you enjoy using ChatGPT and prompting all kind of things. However, for deep academic, maybe the better sources, I would certainly recommend SciSpace, Semantic Scholar, Elicit, ResearchRabbit, or Connected Papers. And probably this changes by the month. For some research countries, it can be really difficult to find good academic literature sources, or maybe not enough. We have developed the so-called Liechtenstein method, and you can just check that out in textbook. It really describes, and the idea is that you have very quick, short interviews or emails or app messages or Facebook or anything you like, where you ask people, is this a little bit like it could be in your country? And that way you're also able to find good sources. Next is building blocks. What elements do you need to write the CP section? How the XYZ Characterise Leaders. What I've done is that I analyzed the comments that Chris has added in a few semesters of country profiles, the first draft, and I tried to extract some main ingredients, building blocks from that. We would like you to start by introducing the leadership context in the country you are researching. Then we ask you to describe leadership behaviors, and we ask you to identify core leadership traits as in qualities or characteristics. And then we always ask you to provide a specific example. Mirror, mirror on the globe. Much of what we do in our course is about putting things into a global, worldwide perspective. And if you have discovered certain traits of leadership characteristic in your research country, how does that contrast with global leadership norms? Could you highlight similarities or key differences? And what are the practical implications of what you found? And for sure it's important to know what you want, but it's also important to know what you don't want. And what we don't want is in this section that you have long history lessons. We don't want a lot of numbers or GDPs or statistical dumps or technicalities. And we don't want you to explain certain sub-theories in the leadership realm. We don't need you to explain what transformational or servant leadership is. That is not the task of this section. Because we really believe in examples, and you can learn from Chris Einer and me, but you can certainly also learn from the work of other students. What we've done, we have compiled accumulated sections, how the XYZ Characterise Leaders, and these are all groups that received a 10 as their grade, so this is really the perfect example. You can find them in the downloads folder and then the subfolder, best practice examples, and you can see are marked here samples that got a 10, but a little bit below you can also see a Word document, and the Word document is also really easy to copy paste from, so I would use both, and sometimes in combination with artificial intelligence you can really find interesting new approaches for your own section. Now, you already saw in the survey launch lesson that there are certain countries that already have been studied in past semesters. What we do not allow until the third draft is that you copy paste from that, because we consider that plagiarism. But after the third draft we are 100% supporting you for reusing it. And we will actually provide you with the Word A5 template chapters for their final draft, which also allows you to directly copy the bibliographical entries. Why? Well, you have to make your own grade, that seems fair, but secondly also it allows us to upgrade our knowledge and include the more modern research that you have found. Next is the global leadership survey that we are conducting. Now, maybe at this stage you don't have that many respondents yet, but you have until the end of the semester, and we always expect teams to upgrade each section until the final draft. Now, if you start using the data from Qualtrics, question number 13 is an open question, and it goes like, can you think of something specific about the leadership styles, skills and practices in your country which distinguishes it from other countries or in other languages that we offer the survey? I didn't realize that, but almost 70% answers this question, and that is great, because then from the dataset you can have a direct quote. You can also mention the source by name if they gave it, or if it's anonymous, just the city and the position, and then you really create new knowledge. You must be able to at least have 2 or 3 nice quotes that you can use from it, and that's great because that's also a source that counts as a native local source. Because we offer the survey in many languages, it's only logical that people respond in that language. Now, you may not always recognize it or be able to read that yourself, but if you command click or right mouse click and say translate to English or your own language, you can basically see anything, and that would allow you to select if this is a good quote to use in your section. Besides the open survey question, we also have 3 keyword questions, and we ask them each time to choose an order of 6 keywords, and here it is an overview, and you can see by country there's certain scores. You can try to calculate it a little bit to see if a larger majority describes a certain trait or characteristic, and elaborate a few lines on this in the section How the XYZ Characterise Leaders. APA all the way. From this section onwards, we always ask you to apply with the APA requirements. We also grade you during each draft for how well this is done. So we advise to at least have 1 team member that is double checking it, but also has watched the tip clip video and has read the textbook entries on bibliography and APA. At GBS CCBS we work with a clean folder policy on Microsoft Teams, and we therefore ask you to always save the file or upload it or rename it if it's already there according to the specification in lesson plan. And we always ask you to just have that one file in the folder. Thanks for your consideration there. Besides this video, we also have an extended explanation in textbook. Great many amount of pages where you get all kind of tips and pointers, and it is advisable that somebody reads that before you start working on the section, because it gets so much better if you read the manual first. Textbook. Shortly after the deadline, Chris will leave comments. These are the little balloons that you can see in your Word document on Microsoft Teams if you push the button comments, or in Dutch opmerkingen. The idea with the comments is that you try to resolve them before uploading the second draft. Well, and I think with this, we've talked a lot about how to make it, and now you have to make this section. It's part of the first draft. It's not a school paper, it is a chapter of a book. So yeah, there is a lot of information and depth that we are looking for, but I'm sure with you it's in good hands. I wish you all the best with the work on it, and hope to see you again in class, and maybe otherwise another video. Thanks very much. Doei doei!